Yes, that's right. A chance for a franchise record. Before we get into it, let's talk about something here on the DLS Stars pregame show. We have a trade deadline show coming up. That's right. It's this time of year on Friday. So 5 days, 4 days really from now, 1:30, unless things go down before that, which based on our luck, it'll probably be that case. And we'll just do an emergency pod and beyond. I won't even say it out loud. We're not manifesting this. 1:30 deadline show. All of us will be here, including Sean, although he won't be in person, but he'll be on the show back from Amsterdam. I'm sure his blood levels will be back on a legal limit by then. We hope. In fact, guys, that'll be my first question. So make sure to tune in. That's a big day. Trade deadline show Friday, 1:30 through the deadline and whenever the Stars business is over with. And then Stars Avalanche at the AAC that night, pre and post game show. They don't pay us the big bucks for nothing, guys. It'll be a big day on Friday night. All right. Let's welcome on Mr. Enthusiasm himself, Craig Ludwig, Sam Nessler, and of course our producer Ryan Vaughters. I'm Owen Newkirk. Guys, before we do a pregame show or our pregame show, which we're doing right now, we have to do the 3 stars of the week, our weekly bit. No Sean this week, so unless he surprised us with villains, he told me he was not dialed in. He's on his vacation to Amsterdam. That's the joke about the blood alcohol content or blood whatever content.
Oh, he sent a picture. It looked like he was getting dialed in.
Yeah, I don't think that was booze on the table for that one. But let's get to Ludz's teaser first. Go ahead, Ludz.
Wow. Wow.
Okay. I know what number 3 is. It took me a half a second, but I figured it out. I'm not sure I know the second one. Oh, wait. No, I do know now.
I know the second one. The second one.
Give me a second there because I had to read what the speedometer said. And then, okay.
That's Gumby, right?
Yeah, I think I figured it out. All right. Sam, do you have some guesses?
I think I have a couple.
Okay. Figure it out in the chat, and we will get back to that last, everybody. But let's go to Sam for his 3 stars of the week. Sam, take it away.
Yeah, mine. I went a different path here for a couple, so I'm going to start with number 3. I don't know if this is surprising to anyone, but Nathan Bastian, that goal in the last game was so big for him, big for the team, big moment that they needed with everyone that's out for someone like him to come up with that play. So I'm giving him a star because it's his first goal since day after Thanksgiving. He hasn't played a whole lot over that time. I thought that was huge. Number 2, I resisted going with a more standard guy because I tried to be different, but it's hard not to just pick Wyatt Johnston all the time. Domination on the power play continues. 5-on-5 goals continue. He's starting to really drive play, in my opinion, just starting to see him execute even on a higher level, kind of picking up some of the slack with some of the guys that are out. And then Tyler Seguin, simply because I wanted him to get one more moment of being a star here before the end of the season now, season-ending LTIR. Big bummer for him and the team. So I'm giving him the star. Good luck in recovery.
Sam, I'm glad you put Bastian on there because I almost put him as my 3rd star. I always send Ryan an honorable mention, and it's sort of hey, if our picks are too similar, I can always give an honorable mention in and swap out the 3rd. He was my honorable mention because he doesn't score very often. And not only did he score, sometimes we get excited about a guy that isn't a big offensive presence getting a goal, but this was a timely goal, tying goal to help the Stars rally. And then, of course, they beat the Preds. That segues right into my picks as I have, drum roll please, Jason Robertson is my 3rd star because he scored the game winner against the Preds, but he doesn't get there if Bastian doesn't score that other goal. And even though Robo didn't have a goal on Wednesday against the Kraken, he, alongside my 1st star Wyatt Johnston, were the 2 that really carried the offense. I thought Robo looked really dangerous against Seattle. He just didn't put one in the net, had a few chances, and kind of answered the question, who steps up with Hintz, Foxa, and especially Rantanen out of the lineup. My 2nd star, 55, maybe a hint at what Ludz was getting at. Thomas Harley has looked a different player since the Olympic break. He has assists in 5 straight games now, going back to before the break. He was money against the Kraken, a +3 rating against Seattle on Wednesday, and then put in a couple of assists out there. He's been really good. And then look at Wyatt. Just keeps piling up goals. He's second on the team in goals, first in power play goals. I think Luds is once again looking like Ludstradamus when he said mid-March, we're going to have a record-breaking franchise power play number. Well, all right, Luds, it's your turn. Take away the what's on Luds' mind.
I believe you guys probably all have these. The only one that may be a question. Now, I think I used the term for this particular player the other night.
You did.
That's
a honey badger.
Well, but that's a Tasmanian devil.
It does. Okay. I thought for a minute, but I was thinking honey badger.
Yeah. It's a Tasmanian devil. And by the way, I think I Ryan, I did a good job putting that helmet on him, didn't I?
It looks fantastic.
It was a little dangerous, but I got it straight and everything, and I had him drugged up. But I went with Ritzy Ritz. I think I like the way that Ritzy's been playing, and he seems to immediately go after whoever bumps into anybody else on his own team. And then obviously, yes, the second star and first star are both what you guys, I believe, said, except for no, that's right, Sam, you went with Saggy. Anyway, yeah, this is a speedometer on Harley, and that is a going 55 miles an hour, which doesn't generally ever happen when I'm on a bike. And then Gumby, and you know what? I did that for Wyatt, and I mean this in a good way, because he does seem like Gumby at times. He just kind of conforms to whoever hits him where he is in front of the net, and he stays healthy. And if you heard that, that's what I'm doing.
I heard it. I'll do it too.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
So those are my 3 stars. I think we were all on the same one. I'm admiring Ritzy Ritz. I mean, anytime there's anything going on, and I believe that coaching staff, well, we know they do. I mean, he just seems to want to. He's pulling the wagon. He's leading the chariot, the horse, the cart, the whole thing when it comes to the physicality. I think his reputation will start to precede himself, and they will be talking about him in locker rooms because they will try not to take penalties upon that guy and stay out of the penalty box because of the way that he plays. And I think it's just a bonus for what he's doing.
And that's why, Luds, I picked Jason Robertson. Aside from the overtime winning goal, he channeled his inner Ritzy Ritz, or maybe Adam Ernie, with that nasty little cross check the other night, showing
I don't know about nasty. I don't think
hey, nastier
for him.
Yeah.
No,
if you grade him on a curve, that was very nasty. For the rest of us, maybe a love tap. Okay. Those are 3 stars of the game. Appreciate always the chiming in. And we now have a debate of whether or not a honey badger or a Tasmanian devil would win a scrap. I think honey badger, because the honey badger, according to popular culture, doesn't give an S.
Yeah, but Tasmanian devil can spin.
The badger is the state. It's a state animal.
It is a Wisconsin thing, right? Yeah, for sure.
Tasmanian devil is Tasmania's mascot animal.
Should we ask Sam where Tasmania is located on a globe?
It's in Africa.
Sam, I would take the same guess because I have
Asia.
no idea either. I couldn't even.
Strike 2, Sam. It is next to Australia. It's actually part of Australia, but it's an island. It's an island south of the mainland continent. All right. Yes, T.O. Sam. I love it. All right, let's get into some. That's not right. Some stars in Canucks pregame show. Before we talk about just how bad the Vancouver Canucks are, and they are bad, let's talk about some stars news. Sam, lineup news? No lineup news, but we do have some updates on the injured players. Same exact lineup will be playing for the Stars tonight as on Saturday against the Preds, including the goaltender.
Yeah, I was actually surprised it was Jake. I kind of thought Casey, I think he's played well against Vancouver, and he played there. I thought that would be an easy one, and then send Jake to Calgary, but they're going with Jake again. As you mentioned, the same lineup. No reason to believe there will not be the exact same lines. They liked what they created in that last game and the game before that. And that's pretty much the only options they have because everybody else is hurt. But the guys that are hurt, Radek Faksa did not travel with the team. So that just kind of keeps ticking on with an upper body injury that he had.
Hey, Sam, does that move him down to 98.2%?
Yeah.
The 99.9?
I think that's where we're at. It's still likely.
I hope that's, by the way, I hope that's Gully's biggest regret in the media this whole season. Because if that's the case, we're in great shape.
Yeah, we'll take it for sure. But that's not good news, but as they mentioned, they're not going to rush it. That just means he's out tonight, and then it's only a 2-game trip, so tomorrow in Calgary. And then Rope Hintz still sick. He did travel. Now he skated, I think, 3 days in a row, because I think he skated on his own on Sunday morning. So he skated 3 days in a row with the team, which means
Sam, that was only yesterday. That's 2 days, right?
Yeah,
oh,
but
no,
it's
Saturday.
Saturday,
right.
Sunday, Monday. Yeah,
I stand corrected.
Yeah. So it's a good news that he's with the team. And it sounds like Goldson just kind of said we have to see how he feels when he gets off the ice. So right now it seems like he's clear to be around the team. Obviously, just has to get back to feeling good. We know with Mikko that took some time as he lost a ton of weight and everything.
I have a feeling it's the exact same thing with Rope. Is he's now got to recover from losing probably 8 to 10 pounds, and that's not easy to do to play in the NHL. All right, Luds, franchise record chancing tonight. And this is the dangerous part. The Stars tied their franchise record for an 8-game winning streak that they set 2 years ago, 23-24 season. They could break that record tonight. If you were going to ask them going into a chance to set the record, who they would want to play, it would probably be the 32nd ranked Vancouver Canucks. But that is always a dangerous way to think about things. So from the Stars' perspective, how do you, as the head coach, go about setting your team up for this game?
I'm not concerned at where the season is right now, and just look at the standings. They know that they are closer now to Colorado than they probably have been in a few months. And and not only that, they're a little bit ahead of Minnesota. So I don't think it. Again, I just have a feeling with this group this time that they understand the assignment, and it's not about the trap games and things like that. It's understanding that we're probably going to get another player here, possibly. We may get 2 of them, and management is doing what they can to upgrade our group so that we knocked on the door a little bit last year. Very disappointed in what happened, and I'm speaking from experience. And you just approach things a little bit differently. And I think your coaches don't even need to tell you that. I think they can sense it. So these are the kind of games that, yes, I could see where now if it's at home, I think it becomes a little bit more concerned because you're in the friendly confines and all that other kind of stuff. But I just think that they know where they are. I think they really see that the taillights that were getting dim on the Avalanche bus are getting bigger. And so the Avs can see the Stars in the rearview mirror now, which they couldn't. And so I just believe that this group is going to come out, and they will come out from the start of the game, and they will probably dominate this game from beginning to end.
Sam, I'm assuming you looked at the standings after Minnesota lost yesterday. Can you give everybody a quick update of where second place in the division currently stands for the Stars?
Yeah. So Minnesota's lost. I can't remember exactly how many, but they have not played as well. But it stands up as 78.
Oh no, it's way too early for that.
Sorry, boys. Sorry.
He doesn't even try to cover it up.
I was thinking too much at the same time. So Colorado's up at 87, so they're 6 up on Dallas, and Minnesota 1 point behind them. But Minnesota does have 2 more games played. Colorado has 1 fewer game played than Dallas. So
apparently there's only 2 of us for the post-game show. For sure.
There was thinking and yawning at the same time. I couldn't hide one or the other.
When Luds tips his head back, I do that fairly regularly, but when he does that, it's funny.
Oh.
I love it. Get that double teabag going, Sam.
Yeah, I only had a single. That was the problem.
Oh, that is the problem. Well, that's good news. The Stars have a chance to extend a little bit with games in hand. And Luds, as you talked about, they've made up substantial ground against Colorado in the last 8 to 10 games, which is a bit of a surprise because earlier this year, it didn't even look like they were going to get within the same lap as the Avalanche.
Well, wasn't it just before the break? The Avs hit a skid.
Yes.
And Dallas continued
finally.
To win. Yeah, and they hit a skid. And you know what? They're probably saying, listen, we didn't expect to lose 3 or 4 games all season long. But then they probably didn't expect to lose a bunch of games in clumps. And Dallas just found ways to win hockey games. So I just, and again, I think they've come out of the break, though. I'm talking about the Avs now. And maybe that pushes them a little bit, right? Because they know that there's 3 teams here that, unfortunately, by the time the second round's over, 2 of them are going to be gone.
Yep.
And they're in a position. I'm very, very curious to see what they do in the next 3 or 4 days. I mean, I've heard a couple names, whether they get Kadri or, apparently they were. I think they were interested in Trocheck too, but now he's made it pretty clear he wants to stay on the
east, right?
Yep.
And so I just wonder if Robertson, not Robo, what's the kid's name in St. Louis? Roberts? What's his name?
You're talking about Robert Thomas.
Robert Thomas. Yeah.
Yep.
I just think that
that's a big one, though. That's a big swing.
They know where they're at. They're very close, and so I think that Joe Sakic is probably going okay. And you know what? As I'm talking about this, unfortunately, I was just in Denver and I saw their 3 banners hanging in there, and I saw that and I started thinking about it as I was there, and playoffs coming up and all that kind of stuff. And I just think that they know that they're close and they know that they've got a heck of a team, and it'll be interesting to see what they do in the next few days, if anything.
Well, there was a trade we're going to talk about that happened today involving the Oilers and Blackhawks, the Quinn Hughes trade, which happened a couple months ago, and just how bad are the Canucks? All of that still to come here on the DLLS pregame show after a couple live reads.
Well, Ryan, let's start with the hat collection. Since Sam's got one on, I would like to get and I think what we're going to do is on the maybe on the right-hand side of that caddy logo, I'm going to try to get some kind of a picture of a bottle of No-Dos on there. On one side and a pillow maybe on the other. Or maybe we could if we could show Sean sent us a little picture.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
maybe we could get Sam a couple of those little tools, and that could keep them moving along through the show. Anyway,
I believe that photo involves something like an amphetamine.
And he's in Amsterdam, folks. So I think in the old school, we used to call it a head shop. So I don't know if anybody knows what a head shop is anymore. Anyway, that's one for Sam that he won't know. And we got to go back to Wyatt. Let's get the 16-bit shirt because we're going to keep them rolling. We just want to make sure that we keep on rubbing the genie the same way. And so let's see if Wyatt can knock them power play goals off, and he may have a couple good opportunities tonight. And so back to the headshot himself. Let's go back to Sam.
What?
Just want to make sure you're not yawning.
I don't.
Okay, good.
I don't even know with you, Lud. Sometimes, hey, you should join the supporters club. Ryan was very kind to send me this video, so I can now talk about how I didn't realize how horribly wrong I got all of those movies. It was my real effort. But if you want to see what I'm talking about, there's
that wasn't
video.
Your real effort.
Dude, I haven't seen a single one of those movies.
I feel like you were trying desperately to be funny wrong.
I tell you right now, I did not know what any of them were. I'll tell you
that
for sure.
I believe that part. That's all right.
But if you join the supporters club, you can watch that video. You can watch Lud's doing some ridiculous ad reads like he just did. And you also get the exclusive emojis, exclusive badges, all the cool stuff. So join it right now.
And if you're in the chat right now, everybody with supporters club badges are popping off the Bing Bong, the Luds emoji, the Stanley Cone, having a little bit of fun. And yep, Harry chimes in as well. All right. Let's start with today's
Badgers. He said Badgers.
Oh, Badgers. We don't need no stinking Badgers.
That's
Harry,
good.
You are going to very quickly get Luds off your side if you start saying no to Badgers. All right. Trade today, then we'll talk about Tyler Myers and Quinn Hughes and the Canucks. Edmonton traded the second-round pick to the Chicago Blackhawks for defenseman Connor Murphy with 50% salary retention. Seems like a good bit of business, especially because they had to give away Brett Kulak in order to do the Tristan Jarry, Stuart Skinner trade earlier this year. I want to go to our resident defenseman first. Luds, your thoughts, because I'm not trying to disparage Connor Murphy. I think he's a fine depth piece, but I don't think he's necessarily what the Stars were looking for as far as the top of their shopping list.
Yeah, and maybe a little comparison. Again, different players, but remember when Seth Jones was playing in Chicago? Remember his last year and a half, 2 years? And I talked to him, and I talked to his mom, and there was disappointment there. There was a level where your give a damn meter drops a little bit.
Nice catch.
Right? And I think when Seth went over to Florida, and who wouldn't, but and sometimes you're just better because of your surroundings. But Seth went back to the spot that he was when he started. So maybe for Murphy, making that move, and now all of a sudden he's on a better team that's, been to a couple Stanley Cups. But I agree with you. He's not a top 3, not top 4, but maybe he's a good and a better number 5, and maybe he'll jump up into the top 4, because I don't have a problem with this game. I just don't, I don't think you're going to expect him to, depends on what Koff wants to do with him. Does Paul Coffey want to get him into, because he can skate, I don't, he's not he's not a Norris Trophy, old school Norris Trophy guy, from a standpoint, but he can play, strong in front of the net and in the corners. And so it'll be interesting to see how he does with some superstars, current superstars, and a couple of the best players in the league, and see how he does with that.
Sam, Tyler Myers will not play again tonight, as we talked about on our show earlier. Well, I guess it was late last week. It sure seems like there's an interesting debate about, does he want to leave? He has full control. Who wants him? Do the Stars want him? I think the answer is probably yes. And at this point, the Canucks are in a full-on strip it down, sell it off, and rebuild from the ground up.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was seeing tweets today of a lot of their fans are trying to tweet out the lottery draft odds and things. That's where that they're at. Thinking Gavin McKenna, and that's about all they're thinking right now. But with Myers, it doesn't seem as black and white as a lot of other people. I think we were just talking on the pre-show here, like a lot of guys, you're like, all right, they're going to chase a cup. That's what gives Dallas the edge. They want to go chase a cup no matter what, play for a good team, even if it's a rental. And with Myers, it seems like there's more. He's apparently reportedly declined a trade, or at least disagreed on some of the trades they were thinking of. So it's going to be hard to pry him out of there. And I honestly just don't know. But I think Luds might have said it. Why is the guy playing at all? Why would he be not playing? I mean, why would he not play the games if they're not going to trade him? So I think there may be a little bit of disconnect between organization and player in that sense. And if it's not the perfect fit, he's not going to go.
I still think that I had a really good idea at about 5:30 a.m. on Sunday morning when I sent you guys a text message. I don't understand how it couldn't be coordinated to where Tyler Myers gets on the plane tonight. Leaving with the Stars on their way to Calgary, and then Blake Coleman gets on the plane tomorrow night on their way to Colorado, and then they're both in the lineup come, what is that, Saturday, Sunday?
Hey, Luds, does that win you a Stanley Cup?
No, but it gives you a damn good chance to. I mean, you take a guy, a top 6, top 9, middle 6, I would call Blake, and penalty killing and all this other kind of stuff, and then you put the Twin Towers together with Myers and Bichelle. Can you imagine that? So
that'd be awesome.
And Luds, they'd be back home because Colorado's at the AAC on Friday. So it's a 2-game. It's sort of a go pick up your guys on the way back to Dallas kind of a trip.
There you go. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah.
So,
and you know what? I was going to say one more thing. The thing about Dallas too, Luds, we keep talking like they need this top 4 guy, but in reality, they just need some sort of upgrade somewhere. And if that upgrade is third, and think about Petrovic. If last year's playoffs, Petrovic, I'm happy with him next to Harley. He's not the best option, but he was solid. He was clean. He gives Harley, as long as Harley's playing well, gives him a chance. So they could realistically look at upgrading that last pairing instead of that. And then you have the Labushkins, the Lundqvist, and everyone kind of piled up. So you have extras. So it's an interesting way to look at it this week.
And the reason they really only match their top pairing against other teams. I mean, besides the other 4, I don't think they try to say, oh man, you guys got to get off the ice. They're cool with just having those guys, Miro, Esta, you guys are going to try, you're taking the number 1 line from the opponent. The other 4 guys, we're comfortable. It seems to me like they're comfortable with whatever it is.
Well, the interesting thing too is that both Myers and Coleman that we talk about have an extra year on their deal. They're not UFAs, including Myers at $3 million this year and next year. That is doable, but you'd probably have to do some subtraction if you wanted to keep him next year, because of course we know that they have to extend Jason Robertson in one shape, form, or another. And the Canucks do have 3 pending UFA rentals: Evander Kane, David Kampf, and Teddy Bluger. And I was talking to somebody that is a big Canucks fan earlier today, and they said, Luds, stay away from Evander Kane. Looks like he's lost his wheels.
He's had some injuries, and, I had heard, I think we all have a few years ago, and that he wasn't the best of teammates, in one of the locker rooms. And I think that's pretty public knowledge. And
goes back to Winnipeg
with him. But I do think that Yeah, and he has lost his wheels, but then Corey Perry's lost his wheels too. But he's still effective.
Oh, he'd be great.
When you look at a player like him, his game is antagonized. His game is done in front of the net. It's done in the corner. So, I still think he has something to bring. And it's just for a short term. I mean, it's a playoff thing, and maybe when you get to a team like this or a team like Minnesota or Colorado, you kind of buy in because there is a big prize at the end of the road, and you want to be that guy. And I'm sure he wants to prove that he can be a 20, 25 goal scorer again, and get another contract for a couple of years or whatever. So, and I think there's enough strong voices in the room that those kind of guys can buy in. But again, there's strong voices in Edmonton too, and he's not there anymore.
I'm laughing because Brent just said that he wants to keep in mind. There's a whole bunch about cross-check for us, net, etc. Keep in mind, Sam is there. He has missed more days on this podcast than I have since I graduated from Texas Tech in 2007. Sam, catching strays. I'm not discouraging it, of course. But speaking of just tanking, Quinn Hughes was traded by the Canucks. They realized that they had to get something. They got a really good haul from Minnesota for him. December 13th was the trade. They went on a 4-game win streak after that trade, which is kind of surprising. But since December 22nd, they are 3-17-4. That's 10 points in 24 games. That's a 208 point percentage. And it's been worse because they only have 2 wins in their last 21 games. You want to talk about tanking? Since December 30th, they have 2 wins. They are last in the league in just about every category, including a minus 43 goal differential in those 21 games. They're averaging 2.05 goals per game. They're averaging 4.10 goals against, 13% power play, 59.6% penalty kill. That all adds up to putrid.
This is a master class in how to do it. So there's been teams that have tried for years to do it the proper way. So hire Jimmy Rutherford, man. He knows how to do it.
Boy, they are dreadful. Sam, what do you know about Nikita Tolopilo?
Very little. But I do know that they have had trouble with goaltending and in general defending.
There's the starters tonight.
And for a while, just in general, like their team's just been a mess defensively, but their goalies have either given him a great chance when they're, especially Demko, when he's healthy and playing well. I actually thought he'd be an American goalie, Olympic kind of conversation guy right now, and he's just had injuries all over the place. But they've been in a bad spot, and it's tough to evaluate goalies because they just, as you just read off the numbers, I mean, the game should go how Lud said, because they just get diced because they just don't have a complete team. Problem is, it's the NHL, and Sam Steele kept saying it over and over again. It really is a tough game no matter what, and they cannot take their foot off the gas at all.
The 25-year-old goalie from Belarus has actually been, according to my Canucks fan that I was talking to today, a bright spot in an otherwise dismal year, where they finally, I was told, convinced the ownership that they were so bad not to try to prop them up and get 2 home playoff games. They are finally doing the real tanking job that they've desperately needed for a while. It did cost them Quinn Hughes, but from everything that I was told, Quinn Hughes did everything he possibly could as a member of the Canuck, and nobody has ill will to him at all.
I can imagine how hard it is. In Vancouver, it is hockey. It is that team. You're in the city. You try to go out for dinner. I was in a market like that, and how difficult it is for those guys outside that rink. I would believe that the first thing that they did, and probably at Christmas time, is they all made sure their windows were all blacked out, so nobody could see in the cars. Because I'm telling you, it's miserable. You don't want to go out. You don't want to walk into a mall with your kids or your wife or nothing like that. So yeah, it's tough for them. They you know what, they want this season over. But the other thing is, there's guys that are playing 4 jobs. There's some players there that are getting an opportunity now. So those are the ones that you really need to be worried with. And really the best group, the best line has been their third line for Vancouver over the last 5-6 games. So they're going to compete, but I think once they get down by a couple goals, it's just like, oh, here we go again.
Ryan, let's just do a real fast lineup cards here. Let's show the Canucks forwards, as Luds was talking about. Third line, Liam Ogren, one of the pieces they got from Minnesota. Teddy Bluger, the Olympian from Latvia, and Connor Garland. There's talks that they are talking about Drew O'Connor as a trade piece. Brock Besser's name has been thrown out there. They said there hasn't been much talk about Elias Pettersson and DeBrusk. I mean, they are open for business with this group. Now let's look at the defense real quick. There you see Zeev Bium, who is the guy they hope to be a future number one, but they will not have Tyler Myers in their lineup tonight. I don't think that's an absolutely dreadful back end, especially if you had Myers in there, but they are not playing well as a team. Now, if you quickly look at the Stars, because I have one more thing I want to bring up for Sam. There's the group. No expected changes in the lineup. Some comments from Glenn Gullitson today about how well he thinks Arttu Huru is fitting in at the NHL level. And then take a look at the defense, sticking with the same group, Bichel and Lyubushkin, the third pairing. Sam, if you remember November 20th, their last meeting, Mikko Rantanen, actually Colin Blackwell scored the go-ahead goal on a great play by Braddock Fox, but Mikko Rantanen scored maybe the goal of the season.
Yeah, it was Mikko has been the guy. I always think back to the Stars when they had Madonna, right? And we talk about it all the time, how they haven't had that guy. And the fact that I think it was that a after dark game or was that a home game?
Oh, that was an after dark game. That's
what I thought. And I remember coming here and that was like 20% or 50% of our show, because that is the kind of thing that he's been able to do. Right. And the spinorama, now he has all these blind spot passes. Luds was talking about, that's the biggest thing they're missing on the power play, right? Is not necessarily his passing. It's his no look passing that draws people away from the game. Just fun to watch him. Unfortunately, not a great sign. He's probably missing a couple more weeks at least. So they have to figure out a way to get some of those goals without him.
Luds, last thing here. I'm just looking at a quick picture from the lower stands at Rogers Arena. Somebody is wearing a homemade Canucks McKenna 72 jersey in the crowd in Vancouver. And there's probably more than just that one.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people there would love to turn the clock back right about now.
Yeah, so put those paper bags over your head in Vancouver. Jeez. It's going to just got to ride out the rest.
The blue guys or the green guys, whatever, that's always jumping around in the boxes.
I don't know.
Oh, the ones wearing
box.
The full body suits.
Yeah, do they still have them in the, or have they tanked too?
They have masks over
their
bags
over their
they got paper bags on their heads now.
Well, just watch out for the post-game thumbnail. There might be a paper bag. Stars going for a franchise record, trying to keep grow their lead over the Wild, chasing the Avalanche. We'll be here. We'll see if Sam can stay awake for post-game Stars After Dark after
Double
tonight's
T-bag
Canucks Stars right here on DLLS.
I believe that they're going to crush these guys tonight.
Oh.
We all silly like the mayor.